Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. Satellite images sourced by NDTV indicate that China's naval base in Djibouti on the Horn of Africa is now fully operational and supports Chinese warships deployed in the Indian Ocean region. These images come just days after a Chinese spy ship docked in the Lankan port of Hambantota. NDTV's Vishnu Shom brings us all the details and joins the dots to decode China's mission Indian Ocean, whose target is India.
Satellite images sourced by us indicate that China's naval base in Djibouti on the Horn of Africa is now fully operational and supports Chinese warships deployed in the Indian Ocean. You see the base on your screen right now. Why is this important for us? China's presence in Djibouti is part of a detailed plan to establish its presence in the Indian Ocean, directed not just, for example, at the US Navy, which has major bases in the Persian Gulf, but also at the Indian Navy, the next largest in the region. Images of the fully operational base in Djibouti come at a time when China has docked a 25,000-ton satellite and ballistic missile tracking ship in the Sri Lankan port of Hambantota. We'll talk about that as well in a moment. But first, this is the area that we are talking about, Djibouti in Africa to the west, Gwadar in Pakistan, where China is building a base, and Hambantota to the east in Sri Lanka, where China has a 99-year lease to the port. It's effectively theirs. But first, let's turn our attention to the Chinese base in Djibouti on your screen, built at a cost of $590 million and under construction since 2016. It's located by the strategic Bab al-Mandab Strait, which guards the approach to the Suez Canal, one of the most critical channels of international commerce. Significantly, the images from Maxar, which we've procured, show a Chinese ship, a Yuzhou class landing ship, docked along a 320-meter long berthing area located near an apron that supports helicopter operations. This is a large 25,000-ton vessel designed to embark up to 800 soldiers and a combination of vehicles, air cushion landing craft and helicopters. In other words, a potential flagship of any Chinese fleet operating in the Indian Ocean. Elsewhere, there's an apron that you see over here for helicopter operations in the center of your screen. Looks like a small runway, where in this image taken less than a week back, there appear to be training activities underway on this apron or runway. A short distance away, a new building is under construction, as you can see, and the containers set up in the same facility are likely to support urban and counter-terror operations training. That's what the assessment from experts that we have spoken to seem to indicate. And in this image, you can see a wide shot of all of what we've described so far: the ship, the base, the training facilities, the new building under construction. It's a large facility in the Horn of Africa. Finally, a look at the Chinese satellite and missile observations ship, the Yuanwang 5, everyone's been talking about. That remains docked in Hambantota in Sri Lanka. We've marked its satellite and communication dishes. It's berthed next to an oiled tank farm and is likely being refueled. It is being refueled at a time when Sri Lanka hardly has enough fuel to supply its own citizens.
And National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Wednesday held talks with his Russian counterpart Nikolai in Moscow, focusing on bilateral and regional and global issues. NDTV's Maha Siddiqui has more.
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meeting his Russian counterpart Nikolai Patrushev in Moscow at a time when the Putin regime is an international pariah for the West after Ukraine's invasion. Reports say India is also expected to participate in joint military exercises called Vostok 2022 with not just Russia but also China. When asked about India's participation, a US State Department spokesperson said India's historical ties with Russia make it difficult for New Delhi to shift its policy away from Russia.
This is not flipping a light switch. This is something that, especially for countries that have historical relationships with Russia, relationships that as is the case with India, extend back decades, it is going to be a long-term proposition to reorient foreign policy away from Russia.
However, India has faced flack from Ukraine after Foreign Minister Jaishankar explained that it was his moral duty to source cheaper oil from Russia, given the low average income in India.
I mean, we have been very open and very honest about our interest. You know, I have a country which has a per capita income of $2,000. These are not people who can afford higher energy prices. It is my obligation, my moral duty to actually ensure that I get them the best deal that I can from the world.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said, when India purchases Russian crude oil, they have to understand that the discount has to be paid by Ukrainian blood. Every barrel of Russian crude that India gets has a good portion of Ukrainian blood in it. From a very aggressive posture from America weeks into the Ukraine war, when it threatened India with consequences over its energy engagement with Russia, to a much nuanced approach now regarding even a joint military exercise with Russia. New Delhi believes that this has been possible only because India decided to be non-aligned and look at the situation from the prism of its own national interest. In New Delhi, Mahasiditi for NDTV.
And news from Maharashtra, security has been increased after 3 AK rifles along with cartridges were found on an abandoned boat in Raigad district in the state of Maharashtra. While the matter is being investigated, Home Minister Devendra Fadnavis has said that this boat belongs to a woman from Australia and no terror angle has been found in this case yet.
An abandoned boat washed up on the beach 200 kilometers south of Mumbai. Found in it were 3 AK rifles and several cartridges. The government says boat belongs to an Australian woman. On June 26 this year, there was an engine failure, after which the people on the boat were saved, but the boat could not be towed. But there's no explanation for the weapons. However, the Deputy Chief Minister ruled out a terror angle.
इस बोट का नाम लेडी हान है। इसकी मालिक एक ऑस्ट्रेलियन महिला है। उस महिला के पति इस बोट के कप्तान है और ये बोट मस्कत से यूरोप की ओर जा रही थी। देखिए, टेरर एंगल के संदर्भ में अभी कोई पुष्टि नहीं मिली है।
The local MLA in Raigad is worried about the timing, days before the popular Ganpati festival.
हमने डिमांड की है कि इसमें ATS की या फिर स्टेट एजेंसी की एक स्पेशल टीम अपॉइंट होनी चाहिए अर्जेंट बेसिस पे।
In view of the seriousness of the matter, security was increased on all the beaches, as well as searches are being carried out on the boats. It has happened in a state scarred by the 26/11 attacks when terrorists came by boat. With Pravinji Rohit and Sohit Mishra in Mumbai, Rika Roy for NDTV.